everybody. I'm popping in with another tip. This is kind of going on from the tip that I did about a week ago about control, strength and connection when we dance. And I want to talk today about strength and connection to create flow in kind of a surprising part of our body, not a part of our body I think that people usually think of as needing strength, and that is our arms. So, when we are doing our arm movements, in belly dance we have these beautiful fluid arm movements and lovely sort of turning hand movements, and they're full of snakiness and say flow, and sort of we think of them as being lovely and soft and floaty. But I'm going to challenge that idea today, and I'm going to suggest that to create beautiful fluid flowing arms, we actually need to use a lot of muscle energy. Now, we can of course create sort of snaky arms and kind of turning hands and some snaky arms this way with softness, but I would argue that two things happen. One is it tends not to have an awful lot of energy in it, and secondly, very often our arms just end up drooping because we haven't got enough life in them. We haven't got enough sort of muscle tone and energy, literally sort of, life energy in those arms, because we're just kind of letting them float around. And so they end up becoming a bit floppy and a bit flappy, and we don't really kind of know very often what's happening with them. So that's why you end up getting these kind of flippy things going on, and the arms droop when we've got them up, and and kind of droop when they're out to the side, because we haven't got enough muscle tone in that movement. Now when I'm creating, particularly if I'm creating very, very fluid arms, like what I'm doing at the moment, I am actively engaging these upper arm muscles. So my biceps and my triceps are really, I'm telling you now, I'm really feeling them. They are firing, they really are. And that helps to create a beautiful fluidity and intention and connection between the movements. The more I engage these muscles, the more I get that flow and that connection and sort of beautiful transitions between the movements. If I was just to let the arms go, if I was just to let the muscles go, I just wouldn't get that same feeling of flow and connection. Now, one thing I would say is it is definitely more about this upper part of the arms rather than the hands. Although I do actually put quite a bit of energy into these hands, so my hands are pretty strong here. I'm working the hands strongly. I wouldn't want you to kind of end up being very, very stiff and sort of like, kind of getting very bound up in those movements. And I think that it helps, particularly if you're not as experienced as a dancer, to think about it being the upper arms rather than, definitely not sort of like the ends of the arms. So not thinking about this down here as being strong, but these muscles up here. Yeah? One of the things that you can think about is imagining that the air is like thick mud. Yeah? And you're trying to move your arms not through beautiful light air, but through thick mud. So you're really having, if you imagine sort of taking the hands down here and lifting up. If you imagine that it's thick mud that you're working through, yeah? As you lift those arms up, you'll really feel these muscles firing off. Now the other thing is, by having that muscle engaged, it also makes your brain be aware of this whole part of your body. So instead of it just kind of like, so you've been just, thinking so much about what's going down here, you're thinking about what's happening with your arms at the same, so like we get the brain engaged through thinking about the muscle as well. it means you can think about all the bits around. So you can think about pulling that shoulder down as you lift that arm up. Yeah, you can think about the transitions between moves, the pathways from one movement to the other, because the pathway from one movement to another is as important, if not more important, than the final position that you get your arms into. And that idea of trying to go through thick mud is really good for making you think about those transitions. How do I get from here to here if I've got to go through mud to get there? Yeah? So, I mean, there's loads of things in that, and you know, the business about pulling the shoulders down, lengthening the neck, all those kind of things, that's a topic for another day. But really, I'd like you to imagine, yeah, this idea of the air being thick. And I'd like you to experiment. I sound like you, I'm talking like you, I'm your teacher, but maybe I am. But if you really, as I say, think about actually using these muscles, these muscles actually being engaged rather than just being floppy, you will get much more connection, flow, transition, beauty in these arms. It's amazing how it works. So that's my tip for today. I have a free video on your arms. It's called my 3 top tips, actually, or my 3 secrets for beautiful arms, and it's a free training video, and you can get it off my Charlotte Desorgher website. So that's charlottedesorgher.com, and I'll put a link in the comments. So go on to that and get my free video. And I also have a whole series, like a tutorial, which is a paid-for series, which is 5 weeks to fabulous arms. With your arms, a lot of it is just about being aware of them, because we're so busy thinking about everything else, and it is difficult. What we're trying to do with our arms is challenging, because what we're trying to do with our whole bodies is challenging, because we're doing things with our feet, with our hips, with our chests, with our shoulders, and then we've got to do our arms, and then we've got to remember our heads as well. So there's a lot that our poor old brains are trying to manage. So, you know, don't be too harsh on yourself about your arms. It is difficult, kind of like getting your arms into the mix as well. But I have got these 2 things. I've got my free video lesson, which is my 3 big tips, and they really, really, really will make a massive difference, these 3 tips. And also, if you want to, then you can buy my 5 weeks to fabulous arms, which is £19.99, I think, at the moment. So yes, you can check those out on my site.